Hi, everybody. This is Brett and Justin Work from Home. My name is Justin.
I'm Brett.
We're at my home
And my home's very nearby.
working.
Yeah. Working. Oh, man. That's a funny word.
We work.
Oh, we work
We
very
do a-
hard.
we do a
Very
lot of
hard.
work.
Please, people, come on. Don't denigrate what we do for a living.
No, don't stop denigrating what we do for a living. That's something that we've come here to say. Is that we're tired of your shit about denigrating what we do for a living. What is it that we do for a living again?
God, I don't remember. Hey, actually, I'm one of the top travel writers on Medium now. According
Really?
to Medium.
According to Medium.
I have a little badge on my profile. I don't know what it means to be a top travel writer on Medium.
Which is funny considering like you coming to my apartment is probably the extent of
travel.
the travel that you've done over the last
6 months
you know
at least.
yeah for
Yeah,
sure.
At least since that thing.
Oh, Scarlett is
Oh.
off camera,
Yeah, we forgot to talk about our co-host, our third mic.
of course. The third mic, Scarlett. Scarlett is there. Who knows whether or not she'll make an appearance? Right now, she seems very comfortable.
Yeah, we're actually getting a little bit of a late start today, so she's kind of deep into nap time. We might.
She
see her,
was
we might not.
sleeping. She was sleeping at this point last week.
Yeah.
So now keep track at home with your home Scarlett sleep tracker. We should actually market that. We can talk about why we're late, right? We're late because we were watching. I was watching CNN. How were you watching the inauguration?
I was not watching the inauguration.
You were not?
No. I'm putting a lot of effort into not caring about the inauguration. I'll be honest with you, very hard.
I feel like there's a lot of. Would you say that there is a performative element to some of the, and I don't doubt the sincerity in any way, but some of the, I'm going to show you how much I care about how much I don't care about the fact that Donald Trump's our president.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if you're talking out to the world, like if you're broadcasting your opinion, then you want people to acknowledge that opinion.
Yeah.
So if you're going out of your way to say like, "Hey, look at me, I don't care," then you're still saying, "Hey, look at me."
Yeah. I guess it's a weird situation, right? Because obviously, listen, Donald Trump is somebody that is, by the numbers, unpopular.
Yeah.
He is somebody that, both candidates were very, very deeply divisive.
Mm-hmm.
He was, of the two of them, the only one that was the unicorn in that electing somebody without any experience in government before is, in a way, stranger than electing the first woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's just a lot. There's a lot going on there, and then of course the Access Hollywood tape, like that, kind of gives permission, I think, and gives voice to all the protests we're going to see over the weekend with like the women's marches and everything. It's just strange days, man. Like it's just such a weird scene.
I'm genuinely just, I don't even know the word for it, like out of my mind right now. Like I don't even understand what's happening. So I feel like a large part of my job as an American citizen right now is to like sit still and hope that things look okay in 3 days.
I think it's just time to head on down to the Winchester and wait
Right.
for this thing to all blow over.
Oh.
I also just don't know. And this is somebody who last year, I started getting paid to cover politics. I've been fascinated with politics my entire life, but I don't like political rallies.
Mm-hmm. Not even when you're paid to be at them and you're wearing a Charmander costume?
But even then, I didn't go during the rally part. Like I went during the day.
Yeah.
When I could just be an asshole and talk to people, like random people who, by the way, are down there to be talked to.
Yeah.
You know, all those delegates that just hang out on the floor. Like there is this simpatico relationship between them and the media because the media needs to file their stories and they need to talk to people. And the delegates are there. They're wearing silly costumes. Like
Yeah.
they're all in uniform and they're talking with each other, but they're there to get interviewed.
Right.
Some of them even have signs.
Please interview me.
One dude was like, "I've been to every Republican national convention since I don't know."
Oh, so he's just
Lincoln
like,
or
here's
whatever."
my hook.
Yes.
I have this hook.
Yes.
I will deliver it unto you if you come speak to me.
Yeah. No. It's so in general, like.
That reminds me, I need to do an AMA about having fired an American president today.
Oh. That is good.
Yeah.
You should probably be doing that instead of this.
Yeah.
It's
Well.
a mistake.
The things I do for you people.
Do you? All right. Well, here. Let's get into the inauguration, and then we can maybe get into part of that story. So, the inauguration is very. It's about as close as America gets to royalty.
Mhm.
Like there's ceremony to
Well,
it.
in that there's like pomp and circumstance.
Yeah. Like it is a big event wherein there is a big display of we're going to transfer power.
Right.
And here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And this is all a thing.
And everything's analogy and
exactly. And either we are going to do it explicitly or implicitly that like either we're going to like have this moment where we're going to play in the outgoing president with Hail to the Chief, and then we play out the new president with Hail to the Chief,
yeah.
Or it's going to be explicit, and people are just going to like read the stats. They're just going to do like the scoreboard for America of like George Washington said basically all the stuff that you hear at Hall of Presidents, Like.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
My favorite part is that when they like fly out the sitting president on a helicopter, and then you're like, he's gonna be back here tonight. Like he has stuff to do in Washington still. He's probably just gonna like do a big loop.
No, they get out.
Where do they go though? Where's Obama
Bush,
going tonight?
California.
Oh,
He's coming to play golf.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Bush went to Texas.
Huh. All right, fair
Biden.
enough.
Literally, they drove him to the train station so he could get on an Amtrak to go back to Delaware.
Oh man, I love that guy.
Somebody,
well,
Rudy
really,
Kobe,
I love the Onion version of that guy.
Well,
I don't know if I actually love him.
The thing about the Onion version of Joe Biden is that it's fairly close to Joe Biden. Because if you were to write the Onion article, man running for president makes racist gaffe and then becomes two-term vice president to the person he made the racist gaffe toward, you'd be like, oh, that's funny. Like, what a weird, a weird uncle who just lucks himself into stuff.
Yeah.
And that is Joe Biden. That's literally, like, his run for president in 2008 was torpedoed because he called Barack Obama, the ascendant star, clean and nice.
I mean, as far as racist gaffes go, that's probably one of the more admirable.
I mean, but like the problem is you can't have a new. Oh, here we go, making her way to the screen, the star of the show, Scarlett Rounsaville, who's literally just here to grab the mic. She's like, listen, once a week I get to eat this mic cord and I get to grab the mic.
I have a thing to say, and it's.
Yeah, the Biden of the reality, he's a clean and well-spoken black man. He didn't say nice. I always remember clean and nice. But yeah, no, but well-spoken is always, that's the big bugaboo.
That is, like, I don't know this story, so when you said clean and nice, that seemed less racist than saying a clean and well-spoken black man.
Yeah.
Like, that is significantly worse.
But I will say that, Biden's Biden.
Yeah.
I think that historians will go back and say, like, man, what if? Man, what if Joe Biden had run for president?
Oh, this year. Yeah.
Because I think that there is a tremendous amount of goodwill for Biden. I think he would have been a better steward for the Obama legacy, for which people, by the numbers at least right now, seem to be in favor of.
If
and
nothing
that
else,
just gives him a demographic advantage.
If nothing else, the debates would have been a lot more fun. He's like, He's a fighter, and he's not a woman who, by dint of being a woman, is forced to be nicer than a man would have to be in a debate, could have called out Trump over and over again.
Well, and Biden has the advantage of he does not care. Here, let me just put it this way.
Yeah.
He is somebody that in the first run was a bigger cartoon character than Sarah Palin. And in the second one went almost tried to drop a cartoon safe on Paul Ryan's head because Barack Obama did a bad job in the first debate, and that was his way to stem the tide of momentum. So he does not care about being the biggest cartoon character at the debate. In fact, you could make the argument that he's more comfortable doing that.
Right.
So doing 3 debates with Donald Trump would have been an interesting exercise because if Trump is trying to interrupt him, he would have no problem. Like it would have been the official dialogue.
It's so much fun to watch.
It just would have all been crosstalk. It just would have been parentheses, crosstalk in the middle, and it just would have been like puppet, bunch of stuff.
I love the idea that at the end, all of the pundits would be like, "So, who do you think won?" And they just shrug and try to like awkwardly walk off camera.
So let me ask you this, because let's take it back to kind of the nominal point of this podcast.
Yeah. Oh,
Publicly
wait, what?
sharing.
There was a point?
Publicly sharing your political opinions.
Uh-huh.
Like, what are your lines on it? Have you ever regretted it? Like, is there, how do you calculate all of it, if at all?
Well, step one, I feel like I only ever regret it because I only talk about politics when I feel like things aren't going my way. Like, there's no reason to talk about politics if, like, the world is humming along. You don't say, like, hey, look at that cog doing its job, turning like a cog.
Yeah.
Way to go, cog. So, like, there's nothing – I never talk about anything happy about politics.
Yeah.
And when I do talk about the unhappiness of politics, it's because I am so unhappy that I feel like I am getting some sort of therapy out of mentioning it at all.
Are you somebody who tweets about politics and then checks the ats, like to see whether or not you're getting like the digital fist pumps for being right and cool and awesome and making a great political joke?
No. And in fact, like that's a good point, is anytime I reach that level where I feel like so frustrated that I have to speak my mind about politics, I still do make an effort to turn it into a joke. And then like once it's a joke, I don't care. I am well known for writing for an audience of one. Like if I laugh at the thing I wrote, then mission accomplished.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is weird though, because like, all right, well, let me ask you this then. Let's say, because we've talked previously in various incarnations of this show, your family certainly far more to the right than you are, right?
Correct. I need this back.
If you shared more of your family's opinion on politics,
would I share more?
well, because let me just put it this way, and I'll challenge you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, you're writing for an audience of one, but your audience of one also for our social circle is the popular opinion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's a little bit easier to write for that audience of one when you know that, like, when you check your at replies, you're not going to get like, way to ruin the country, like your mom would be ashamed.
I do without fail get something from either my grandmother or my aunt that says something along the lines of, now, Brett, we believe that Mr. Trump is going to do a great job and that everything is going to be fine and America is going to be better than it ever has before.
Yeah.
And also that is probably not written all that well, and there is odd capitalization and
You get this on Facebook or in person or in text?
Usually Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
So, but that's not, is that in response to you? Okay.
Yeah.
So you get clapback from your family.
Oh, yeah.
Like, about, like, when you're joking about Trump or you're making some incisive comment. Because usually that's what it's been from you, right? Is like disgust with a man and not necessarily a party.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't have anything against the Republican Party for the most part. Like, I have as much against the Democratic Party as I have against the Republican Party, I would say.
Yeah.
But I have everything against a single dude.
And you get that feedback from your grandma that
Yes.
like, hey, also give Trump a chance.
Yeah, well, it has to be a fairly small sliver of my family, right? Because my family is all pretty far right. Of those, only maybe 3 use Facebook.
Yeah.
And of those, one of them is my mom, and my mom is much more centrist than the rest of my family.
Yeah.
So she's still like I'd still get a text from her. Like, it wouldn't be a public Facebook post, and it would be like, hey, how come everything sucks? Not how come this one dude sucks or something.
I'm starting to think more and more that being a political pundit, especially like not cashing in for more money to do it,
Uh-huh.
might be one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain.
It might be. Like, and not to say that I'll stop doing it,
Yeah.
but it's like the seas are a roiling. Like now almost more than it was during the campaign.
That's interesting, and a super interesting topic, because this is your work from home.
This is my work
the
from
thing
home.
that you do.
Yeah. So it's like, I think it'd be one thing if I had parlayed this into like, a recurring guest thing on MSNBC or Fox News or CNN or
Yeah.
I mean, like, fuck. I'm not trying to overshoot my station. Like RT, like, whatever random thing that somebody's showing up and is like only streams on Facebook Live, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or BitTorrent had kept going and now I had a show on there.
Right.
And I was getting paid for it. Because doing it independently is like all the risk for a fraction of the like, well, I guess like I'm going to start shedding people who would like me for other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So at least I'll have this money to cash them out with.
And do you find that a thing? Like, are you shedding
I
people?
don't know. No, I don't think so. By any metrics, it seems like there are more people there. However, like I just noticed that now we do just have I want to say an absence of hope, but that obviously is a politically loaded term because Obama used it as the
Right.
as the slogan. But I do think it's an absence of possibility that this won't happen.
Right. Yeah.
And so now, before, like, I think that there was an element, even from people that were very progressive or left, that I would be like, oh, okay, well, I hope I have Trump listeners because I want to build a large mosaic, and I don't want to put myself in a bubble. Like,
Right.
I want to make the brand of this show that you are getting my specific news judgment and analysis, and I am doing my best to not close off
Right.
elements of information,
Yeah.
as repulsive as any side might find it,
Uh-huh.
right? And specifically, knowing that we live in an insanely liberal area of the country,
True.
I want to keep an eye probably more trained on the conservative end because I just know that's where my weak spot is going to be.
Right. So where does the part come in where you feel like you have made a mistake by doing all of
Because
this?
now I fear that thinking and looking to weave in those elements will be like, no, you're actively doing harm now because we're at the furthest possible point from not having this person be president.
Right.
Like, and I'm just afraid.
And so you're
I'm
not afraid
afraid.
of you're not afraid of saying those things or thinking those things. You're afraid of the blowback of having said or thought those things.
So like I made a joke
Okay.
on Twitter just now. And it was the notice that Joe Biden was literally getting a ride to the train station. And that he was going to take the Amtrak back to Delaware. And I think it was like the official press pool report. And then up top, I just had this line that was like, live the gimmick, peace out to Biden. Right?
Okay.
Which is
It's innocuous.
in my mind is like,
Yeah.
listen, there are more effective ways to get to Delaware. You're the outgoing vice president.
Yeah.
You can get a helicopter. You
Sell
can get
is pretty fast.
I not to run down Amtrak.
Yeah.
Or Amtrak rather, Freudian slip. But this is ceremonial. This
Yeah.
is done. This is a performative thing for
Correct.
Biden, and it
Yeah.
always has been. Obama's joked about it at the Correspondents' Dinner. In my mind, fairly like a bipartisan thing that we can all enjoy. Liberals and conservatives can make fun of the fact that Joe Biden has made a brand out of taking the Amtrak.
Vice presidents are just the best. Have we ever not had like fun with the vice president? There's so little pressure on him, and you get to like make fun of. If you
I mean,
want,
like everybody, Dick Cheney's persona was like of the incarnate of evil for many people,
but
right?
yeah, but even at that, like
So
you got to make fun of his heart all the time.
I mean, that seems like sure. Listen, it is comedy. It is certainly a darker brand of comedy, right? But so I get some response from a friend of ours, famed amazing magician Rudy Kobe.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, it's not a gimmick if he's lived it his entire career. Biden is the boss. And like I know Rudy.
Yeah.
And I know that is meant in jest, and we are talking as friends. So it's not his comment. But it is that idea. It's that tweet from somebody that I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That I'm like, oh man, I just wonder if there's one of those Twitter names that I know that always retweets politics when it comes out, that I always see in the chat room.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna get that tweet from that name, and now all of a sudden it's not gonna be funny anymore. Right?
So you do check your @replies pretty vigorously when you send out political
God,
stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm here for the reaction.
Okay.
Now that doesn't necessarily affect what
but
I
for
tweet.
the positive reaction, you're looking. What are you looking for when you send out a political tweet?
No, because negative stuff. Well, I mean, this is what I'm saying is changing. Is that now I feel like I'm more sensitive to the idea that I am actively eroding my audience.
Okay.
Like, and considering how varied my audience is, by the way, can we talk about this is the new phase? The new phase for Scarlett is the squealing.
It's new and loud, really loud, baby.
I mean, listen, if she's gonna get mic time on this show, she's gonna have to be a lot louder than she is. So I feel like she's just stepping up.
Very strong. Try and take this microphone away.
All right, here we go. I'm trying to take. Oh, see how it's easy.
It's like
Take a microphone from a baby. Now I got 2 mics. Oh, damn, baby. Damn, I got 2 mics. Ha, she likes it. Okay. So yeah, I think now that I'm more worried about the reaction than I have been in the past. And so now the challenge is for me, like, does that affect the show? I hope it does not. Mm-hmm. I'm going to actively try to make sure that it does not. But I don't know.
So you still help me understand. Like, you're worried about the reaction of these tweets, but what reaction are you looking for? Like, what?
I'm more worried about the reaction. I'm more worried about the reaction to. I'm more worried about the reaction to the show, or just to me being a political thing. Although I guess ultimately, even being a controversial political figure, for which I don't really have much interest in, like bomb throwing, will probably still do less harm to my brand than tweeting about wrestling. Like, wrestling is probably the biggest turnoff for the general audience.
That's interesting. And I totally believe that.
Yeah.
Like, I would see someone, because politics is something that everyone has an interest in to one degree or another, even if it's like...
Even if it's I don't care about politics.
Yeah, that's still an opinion about politics. Whereas wrestling is literally like you just tweeting nonsense letters every once in a while. Like, if every fifth tweet is gibberish, then like that gets old. Like 20% of what this guy sends is gibberish. That makes no sense.
To be honest, that's
but if like 20% is like, oh, this guy, it drives me crazy sometimes.
To be honest, that's why. So now for the wrestling podcast, the 1-900 Wrestling Podcast, we have the Patreon, and if you donate, we have a Discord, like a little private place where I can now just dump all my wrestling opinions because I've been watching a lot of wrestling and I want to talk about it, and I have all these opinions, especially live in an area where I want to talk to people about it.
Right.
But I can't just put it out randomly. Or if I do, I need to make sure that it has some kind of resonance
Yeah.
beyond like just people who are following me for wrestling tweets.
I enjoyed the like Game of Thrones wrestling tweets. I thought those were fun. Wasn't that a thing you did?
Probably at some point.
Yeah.
I tweet a lot about wrestling. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that there's a weird like I'm not. I think both of us are the same in that we're either of us are particularly like hashtag brand conscious. You
Yeah.
know, where we're like looking at our like the analytics of our tweets and measuring, you know, like what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to the unfollow things
No.
where you get alerted when people unfollow you?
No.
Or like how many followers you've lost and stuff like that?
No.
I think that that's tremendously damaging.
Do you?
No. God,
Okay.
no. That to me is like when people are like, they make that known and they're like, well, 20 people just unfollowed me for that tweet.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the same as somebody telling me I started smoking crack.
Not because they were unfollowed by 20 people, but because you now know that
Because
they know
you
that
are,
they've
because
been
I know you're
unfollowed.
looking at that.
Right.
And I mean, listen, I'm sure there's people out there who are smoking crack that are living happy lives.
Totally.
I'm sure that there are more regular, healthy, recreational crack users than we might otherwise know.
Yeah.
I think that our perception is, like, here, I'll just say this. What is your perception of cocaine?
My perception of cocaine is that high-profile, big-money people in the 80s did it a lot, and I'm not even sure if it's still used regularly now.
I am here to tell you that there is probably 10% of your life that people that you would think to be at the very least successful,
Yeah.
if not happy and healthy, that are regular recreational cocaine users.
I believe it. Sure.
Like, and I will say probably, let's even go a little bit lower than that. There's probably 3% of all of our lives that are recreational, successful, if not happy and healthy crack users.
But there is like 1% of these people that are recreational unfollowers? Unfollow users?
No. I'm just saying that if you are following people who unfollow you, like if you tell me that you are a like oh yeah, I've been smoking crack. It's great. Like I just love smoking crack. Like, oh, did you see this? I went on a touch of modern and bought this new crack smoking device.
Hold on, let me find something to stick in her mouth.
Yeah, here we go. We're gonna like if somebody did that, I would be like, I'm going to put you on mental notice that you're going to have a problem later, like within the next year. You know?
Well, I mean, fundamentally, it's just that's the problem with the idea of personal brands at all, right? Like personal brands means that you are tying your business into your personality, and that is only ever going to be dangerous, right? At least for your psyche.
Yeah.
Like you are suddenly inextricably linking your money to your personality traits and then
Yeah.
deciding where those monies take your personality traits.
Yeah, you know, and social media is something that like I feel at some point when it became so important that people either made some mental decision that either this is going to be my blog or this is going to be my platform and I'm going to play it like a game.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you treat it? Like, what do you think
my
of
blog.
Twitter as? Your blog?
Yeah.
But, like, your blog for who?
My stream of conscious for, like, I hope that people like it. But really, if anything, if I'm going to assign an unhealthy relationship I have with Twitter, it's that it is a baseline validation of A, in general success, and B, like my personal self-worth. Like, not...
That doesn't sound like a good thing.
No, it's unhealthy. This is my unhealthy
Okay.
relationship with it.
Sure.
Is that in general, Twitter is a place where if somebody likes me somewhere else, they like me on a podcast, they like me on a live stream, they like me if I'm guest hosting something, I'll plug that. Usually, it's the number one thing that I plug,
Uh-huh.
and people find me there,
Yeah.
right? And then like in general, like if all of a sudden all my stuff just started tanking, I'd be like, what is happening with my life?
Right.
Like what is happening with my career? Should I like? Well, I think like, all right, is Twitter dying or am I dying?
Yeah.
I would think
Possibly both.
that, right?
Right.
Whereas, like, I don't think, but also I draw that line that it's like, even if I think that, the reason why it's a reflection of my self worth is because I'm not cleaning things up. I'm literally just putting out me.
I see.
And
Yeah.
so now if people reject it, they are rejecting the most authentic public version of me.
Right. It's not like you deciding, like, I have to protect my personal brand, so here is this slice of my personality. People don't respond to it, so instead I will share this slice of my
Or
personality.
it's like, do you follow a lot of like stand-up comedians or people like?
A few.
So it's like they, in general, like that industry
Yeah.
is I'm going to write viral funny jokes,
Right.
right? And it's usually viral funny jokes and tour dates.
Yeah.
Like that's what that is, and that's what it is for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's making some joke about random shit I'm watching on television and plugs of live streams.
Yeah.
Like that's what my relationship is. So
Yeah.
if people found less interesting what like a lot of what I put out there is invitations for conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And
That makes sense.
like so if people rejected that, I would take that as people don't want to talk to me.
That's interesting. So I treat Twitter differently if I am writing a tweet versus like at replying or retweeting. At replies and retweets, I don't think much about. Those are both pretty willy-nilly. But if I'm writing something, I think about less of like a blog and more like a journal. And this is actually a pretty new revelation, like within the last 2 years probably, once Facebook started sharing your old memories and like time hop became a thing, then all of a sudden like, oh, these tweets are really fun to unearth again.
Yeah.
Like now I appreciate it as a joke that past Brett wrote to future Brett that future Brett won't discover for another couple of years. Like there are even tweets recently where I was trying to find a specific tweet because I didn't want to make the same joke again. And so I just Googled like a word, or not Googled, I used Twitter's advanced search and searched things that I said using this word. And
Yeah.
it came up with like all of these tweets. Fun fact, I've talked about showering on Twitter like a lot.
Really?
Yeah, a lot.
Is it just like shower thoughts or?
It's all kinds of stuff. A lot of them happened during Amtrekker where it was like, hey, first shower in 3 weeks kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
But, or like there was one about pretending I was the abominable snowman in the shower. I don't know. It gets weird sometimes. But the bottom line is I found out all these tweets were there, and some of them were really funny.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them were very funny. And getting that opportunity to rediscover them later made me appreciate Twitter as a journal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting. It's a great platform. It's my favorite social media platform of all time. I've never spent more time on anything. I check Twitter. I mean, God, I'd probably be embarrassed if I knew exactly how many times I opened up that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a lot of times
Hey,
that
fun fact, the average person on Mission Pick spends more time on Mission Pick than the average person on Twitter spends on Twitter. Just saying.
Really?
Yeah. True story.
That's great.
That was a sidetrack.
That was good.
Go on with your
Download Mission Pick, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's I really don't know where we're going with this, except to say that I think it is very, very unhealthy to watch. Like, because knowing that, like, all right, so here's where I can connect the threads. Knowing that I will watch these numbers go up and down, and if I saw a huge thing, if I noticed, I think I'm around like 30K or something followers.
Yeah.
If I looked in 6 months and I was at 10K, I would be like, wow, okay, maybe I need to rethink what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Except that would like literally never happen, right?
Probably not, right? But let's just say, for example,
Unless you're being followed by 30,000 bots.
If I did that,
yeah.
that'd be one thing.
Sure.
If I were watching it go down 10 a day for 6 months, I don't know if that math works.
Probably not.
Then that would be the difference between like me having a bad day and me having a literal nervous breakdown.
Well, at what point do you think you would have the nervous breakdown? If you were watching your followers go down 10 a day, every single day after day, at what point do you think you would just like not get out of bed?
It would be after my fourth attempt to change things so there would be a better trend line.
What would be
As
your
soon
first
as
thing to
I-
change?
Well,
Like
first,
right now, you are tweeting exactly like you
So
do
I
now,
guess-
and suddenly you start losing 10 a day.
all right, so I'm going to imagine that I am like a lot of the people that I know that really do watch this stuff. And I think that they are driving themselves crazy.
Right.
And that's why I would treat them like as if they walked up and told me like, yeah, man, no, crack. It's amazing. You know what? I mean, like crack's actually better for your career. You should really be
Really good for
focusing
your
on
skin.
crack, right?
Yeah.
All the analytics. I watched his TED talk about crack. Apparently it's really something that you should focus on. So I would probably try first I would take things away. I would look at the analytics. And this is what people do.
Yeah.
I would look at like, okay, well, what
Oh,
are
yeah,
people
you'd be a
unfollowing
crazy
me
person
on?
real easy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I could sign you up for this service, unbeknownst to you, have it sent to your email, and
Yeah.
destroy you.
I would unsubscribe immediately. Like I'm not somebody that like I know my vices and I like to revel in them, but I do not I know what I am
Yeah.
I know for a fact that there are compulsive elements of me that I cannot indulge. Like I'm not going to be the recovering alcoholic who goes to his friend's birthday party at the bar. Like I'm out, right? Like I'm not even, can't even, won't even get near it, right? So if you signed me up for it, it would be a question of how many times you want. I wouldn't tell you that
Yeah.
I'd unsubscribed.
Right.
I would just unsubscribe and never mention it.
So I just have to make it part of my like coffee and like I wake up, I pour a bowl of cereal, I pour myself a cup of tea, I subscribe Jason to an unfollow or Justin to an unfollow thing.
It would be a question of how long, how many times we could go around that merry-go-round.
Which of us is more dedicated?
Which of us is more dedicated to it? And I will guarantee you that I am more dedicated to not going crazy. So here's what I would do. I would look at my tweets. I would
Yeah.
see what people are unfollowing, right? I would have my own biases going in, which would probably be, I would guess people would probably unfollow the most on things where I'm selling stuff. So I would think about new ways to sell stuff. I would stop
I love
selling
that
stuff.
concept. Not like oh no, I would stop selling stuff. You're like I would think about better ways to sell stuff.
Well, I mean that's the reason why we're here,
Yeah.
right? You know,
That's
we're
how we
here to
work
sell
from home.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would probably start. I'm already spiraling right now. Like I would already start thinking, well, like fuck. Okay. Well, the reason why people bought stuff from me is because they had a relationship, and by not doing enough of my relationship with my audience. So now I would start thinking of new things that I could do.
You'd start
that I
DMing
would-
every person that
I would start
follows you.
DMing everybody. Like I would start. I don't think I would do the like. Oh, it just 20 unsubscribes. Fuck you. I'm gonna tweet about it double. I don't know, guys. Do you like me? That's what I find. The
Yeah.
super thirsty like
Right.
you know, I called Trump a fat crustacean and a bunch of these people unfollowed me. Goodbye, dicks. Like just so you can get the at replies of
Yeah.
like, yeah, freedom fighter for life. Like you know, that I would not do that. Wait a minute. We might have one of our favorite segments here on Brett and Justin Work from Home.
I might have to scoot back a little.
No, wait, hold on. I can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cropped in a little way. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead to the sleeping baby cam.
She looks so comfortable there.
Sleeping baby cam. If you are not watching this on youtube.com/Justin Robert Young, please go ahead.
Scarlet fever. Catch it.
Scarlet fever. We might actually need because so now I got partnered at Twitch, which means that we're gonna get our own emotes. One of them might just be a sleeping baby emote, just so people can call it out as soon as it happens.
It's pretty good.
All right. So yeah, I would start wondering about my relationship with the audience. I would then, if that didn't do anything, I would start creating Twitter-centric bits more. I would start focusing on that audience. And then eventually, no, you want to know what? I would just get on Twitter steroids, like our friends are.
Oh.
Like for whatever it would cost, I would just get on Twitter steroids.
Like you would just like what's most important to you is the number, not anything surrounding the number.
No, because I would believe that the number eroding was eroding other people wanting to get on the train.
Oh, man, you would go crazy.
Yes. Oh no, I would. Absolutely.
None of these thoughts would come into play. I think if I started hemorrhaging followers, and I don't have nearly as many followers as you, but if I started hemorrhaging followers, my automatic assumption was that Twitter is broken and not fun anymore. Like the end. I'm out. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I love Snapchat now.
Yeah. That is part of the thing
Yeah.
about Snapchat, though, is that it does not, it goes out of its way to not give you a good number on how many people follow you.
Yeah.
There's a score that is nonsensical and doesn't make any sense, but like you can tell goes up or down, but you don't know how many people are. I mean, I guess you know how many people are looking at your snaps and like stuff like that, but it's not one big fat, this is your worth
Yeah.
number.
I'm so gun shy about Snapchat for some reason. I think part of it is just how much time I spent talking into a camera during Amtrekker and just how exhausting that felt after a couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can share my life to that degree again.
What do you mean?
Like that, like to be so Snapchat in my mind, like I can't think of a different way to use it than to just be like, all right, here's what I'm doing today. This is the most interesting part about my life today. Here's this interesting thing that I saw while going about my life today.
Yeah.
And that is like there's a piece of your brain that you have to use that's always on, always looking for that moment. Like you can't just bumble through life showing people interesting stuff. You have to always be thinking like, oh, remind me, this is interesting, ergo it is share-worthy.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that really clicked for me with Snapchat, and I've fallen off it a little bit, was that it was a vlog without editing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like vlog. Obviously I like talking about myself, but I don't like editing.
Yeah.
And I get self-conscious about whether or not stuff looks good or it's as good as it could be, yada, yada,
Yeah.
yada. Like, that's why I never really got into YouTube.
Right.
You know, the one time I got into YouTube the most was when I was doing the Weird Things channel.
More than the Talking Heads?
I guess the Talking Heads, yeah. Talking Heads but even then, that was like more of a concept that I was doing as opposed to like me writing everything, you know, which that was far more of the YouTube aesthetic, or is still the YouTube aesthetic, is the like, and anyway, 5 reasons why bleep blop is ding dong.
Totally.
The #1 YouTube video of all
Yeah,
time.
I follow
reasons.
that channel.
5 reasons why bleep blop is indeed ding dong. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's so if you so all right, let's say I signed you up for the unfollow alerts.
Yeah. And
Does that affect you?
And then I start getting unfollowed?
Well, let's take it in 2 phases. Number 1, you sign up for it today.
Yeah.
And now you can see every tweet that comes in, and we put you to the highest setting. So you're getting an email for every tweet that you put out an hour after you put it out.
Yeah.
That shows you a detailed analytic report of how many people unfollowed you every day, right?
Yeah.
How does that affect you no matter what it is? If it's +5, -5.
I think I'm of 2 minds on this because I do love analytics. I'm a big fan of like looking at data and then changing the way I do things because of that data. But that said, like that's pretty annoying data. Like there's no narrative behind it. Like data without narrative is kind of useless. And so you're guessing at all of the reasons why anything happens. So I think that initially I'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then very quickly get super frustrated by it, never open the emails anymore, be way too lazy to unsubscribe, but possibly not so lazy that I don't mark it as spam.
All right, what if it's an app and it's just pushing push alerts to you?
That's even harder to shut off.
Yep.
Like, the inertia of notifications. I think I would shut it off. I think that would be annoying if every time I tweeted, I looked at my phone and got a little bloop, doop, you gained
Yeah.
or lost 5 followers. I think bottom line is I don't care enough about my personal Twitter brand to think it's anything other than annoying. Like I don't feel like I'm furthering my career by making sure that I don't lose or gain 10 followers in a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is. I do have a weird purity thing with Twitter, though,
Mm-hmm.
because I had an opportunity to get on the
Twitter steroids.
Twitter steroids,
Mm-hmm.
and I never have,
Yeah.
and I've always kind of used money as the reason why,
Mm-hmm.
but it would help me. Like everyone I know who's used it because of the way that they do it, like it's not really even immoral, you know.
Oh, you're halfway there.
Oh no, but I never am able to do it.
Yeah.
Like just because there is this weird, like, you know, this weird. I don't know. Maybe it's a superiority thing, or maybe it's like,
I think for me, Twitter is still a little bit about friendships
yeah,
in some ways. And so I feel like Twitter, the things I love about Twitter would disappear if I used Twitter steroids. In that, like, best case scenario, I would start having to do things differently by like making lists of the people that I actually like, cared about and followed. And then it's just a different experience. And maybe the reason I like the experience now is because of inertia.
yeah,
But the bottom line is I do like that experience, and so anything to change that feels weird or sketchy. Like as it is now, I would say like 98% of the people I follow on Twitter are people I've met in person.
yeah. No,
Maybe less than that now. Less than that in the last couple years probably.
I would say that's a lie. How many people do you follow?
Like 300? 400 maybe?
And you think that you have met how many? What percentage?
I said 98, but that would be 98 like as of 2 years ago. I'd say in the last year I started following like some VCs and founders and maybe some comic book people.
I think that you've followed more people that are like random stuff than you think.
Possibly. Yeah, maybe. But I still think of it as a place where
I think
follow people that
if
know.
you're above 50,
Mhm.
like that, because I think over 50 is tremendously authentic.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I don't think there's any authenticity to it. It's just the way I use
Well, I mean,
Twitter.
to your metric,
Right.
you know, the idea
Yeah.
of like, oh, okay, well, I'm following my friends here.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure I've followed at least 100 people in the last 2 years that I don't know. So, like, best case scenario, probably closer to 75%.
All right. One last thing. This is actually just flown by. Jesus. You put out the proto first chapter
Mm-hmm.
of the Amtrekker book on Medium. You are now one of the foremost travel writers.
I am. Yeah.
On Medium?
One of the most popular travel writers on Medium.
What has been the response, and what went through your mind putting it up there?
What went through my mind putting it up there? I was not particularly excited about putting it up there.
Yeah.
Because I know how underprepared like chapter 2 is, so I don't know how long it's going to be before I put another post up there. But it was nice to like get those people that have been following me for like 8 years now to pop up and be like, man, I missed this stuff. This is great. Good job.
Yes.
So that was kind of a fun little like high five. But overall, it was much more scary than it was satisfying.
What was scary about it?
Mostly the idea that like I don't know where to go from here. Well, 2 stages, right? The first stage is you're putting something up there that you've put some time and effort into. You don't know if it's going to be well received. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Putting that up there initially is already scary. Once it's up there and once people like it, then it's arguably just as scary, if not scarier, because you feel like you have to deliver again. And I'm not prepared to deliver again yet.
By the way, the Reverend Puck says, not to be snarky, but how big is the travel blog community on Medium?
Oh, I have like 300 followers and like 200 people read that post. So there's no way it's big if I'm
It's
one of the
not
top travel
gigantic,
writers.
right?
No.
But also,
No, being a top travel writer on Medium is only ever a joke.
suck it. Whatever.
I felt like I only delivered it as a joke too. Anyone that took it as anything else is
I don't
like
think it
has
was
a
a
little too
joke.
much faith
I
in
mean,
medium.
again, man, like I think that there's a reason why you have people that
Mm.
like, are still around you
Mm.
after 8 years of like,
Yeah.
all right, this guy just went on an epic travel thing. I'm very excited for either A, his next travel adventure, or B, him to write about the travel adventure in greater detail that I only read about in blogs and vlogs and saw in vlogs. And then
Right.
it's like, yeah, I write comics now. Okay. Hey, I'm a corporate entertainer. Okay. Hey, I'm an app developer now. Okay. Hey, now I'm gonna do this thing you wanted me to do 8 years ago. Perfect.
Finally, all my work has
Finally.
paid off.
Um, but I think that's I don't know. I mean, I having met you around the time that you were winding down Amtrekker
Uh,
and just seeing how people light up when you talk about Amtrekker or how
yeah.
people talk about you after meeting you,
Mm.
like that whole journey, man. There's something special about it.
Yeah.
There's something really really special about it.
It was. I mean, it was like life changing in the most accurate ways. In that I would not be sitting here in Oakland with you right now
Nope.
if I had like
I
stayed at
would not
Disney.
be sitting in Oakland.
Though that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It changed so many
It
lives.
changed a lot of lives,
Yeah.
man. No, for real.
Anyway,
I mean, who knows? Maybe I'd end up here, but probably not. Likely
yeah.
not. I'd probably still be in
Probably
Florida.
not. Yeah. Well, I mean, also, life is just a tapestry, right? Intertwined lives over and over again. Neither
Yeah.
of us would be up here if not for Tom Merritt either, and that is also, well, also a
Certainly in
coincidence, but
Oakland.
also I
Yeah.
met Tom because of Amtrekker also.
Yeah, man. No, Amtrekker.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like dude, if you can trace out everybody's lives who were changed because of Amtrekker,
That
that'd be
feels like
crazy.
making like the most irritating version of a family tree.
I don't know, man. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I guess all I'm saying is that I'm very excited that you put it out there.
Mhm.
I'm excited that you have kind of because I think part of the fear is publicly saying I'm writing a book.
Yes.
Like and so everything can be
That's
woven around that.
that's always a fear. There's Scarlett again. That's always a fear of some kind, right? Like I feel like I'm a big fan of being like, hey, look, this comic book exists and I made it.
Yeah.
And not like, hey, I'm gonna make a comic book. Sit tight for a year.
Do you find that saps your drive when you announce stuff? Because I definitely have that problem.
That saps your drive because you already got the
Because
like high fives.
people get excited, and then I'm like, well,
Mission
already
accomplished.
did it.
Got
It's a
you
lot easier
excited.
than doing it.
Yeah. I don't think that it saps my drive, but drive is always hard. That's always going to be the difficult part. Like deciding you're going to do it is the second most difficult part. And then once you start, you have to keep going. You have to like make
My
baby
God, I
steps
know.
every day.
Dude, that's the problem. So we're John and I are writing this new card game. We're play testing it and everything, and like we're just in that point, the point of creation, the worst point of any creation, where you have a great idea,
Uh-huh.
you've got a great first draft, you can see in that first draft the reflection of the idea, but you realize, all right, there's a million miles to go before this is ready for
Right.
prime time. And then as the glow of the idea fades and the specter of all the work that needs to go on like just looms large,
Uh-huh.
that's where we're at right now. It's
Ugh.
just the idea slowly kind of fading, and now all the jokes we've heard a million times before and all the mechanics are kind of there, and it's just like, yeah, let's just like do the hilarious work of like making all these cards rhetorically fit together by way of tenses and like making sure that we find pronouns that can always plug in and but also make it funny, like make sure that you're retaining how funny everything is. And it's like, and then also, Contender was a very very different game until we started playtesting it with Guts and Glory,
Yeah.
and they were like, yeah, half this game is unnecessary and dumb, just make it about this other part.
Uh-huh.
And that's hard to do, especially if you are, like, 'cause we thought the game was good.
Yeah.
And then we brought it to somebody and they're like, yeah, half of this is necessary.
Yeah.
And so, like, at that point, we had to be in the mental state to not be like, fuck you. What the fuck do you know about this shit?
Yeah.
We had to be in the mental state to be like, oh, well, let's play it like that. Oh my God, this is way more fun.
Yeah.
This
You're
is
right. We should do all this work over again.
Yeah, and that also meant we had to write so many more cards and everything, and it's like, it fundamentally transformed the project, and so
Right.
now we got a better idea of what we're doing than we did the first time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like we've got to be in love with the project enough to see it move forward,
Mm-hmm.
and yet be ready to let it go if the idea that fundamentally changes everything comes along.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Where's your love meter right now?
In the game?
Yeah.
Oh, I still think the game is in a really, really good place.
Oh, good.
The question now is, how do we get it? But like, I still think that part of my love for it is the premise and the first draft.
Uh-huh.
It's not. I know I eventually have to let all that go and fall in love with the third, fourth, fifth draft and then the final product, and know that might not look anything like what we have right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
And that's hard.
And
It's
in between every one of those steps is just work.
Yes.
Just like busy work that you have to stay motivated throughout.
And understanding that, especially for a project like this,
Mm-hmm.
we can go 10,000 miles into the woods and realize that the only thing we need to do is go 10,000 miles back and start a new direction.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part,
Right.
especially when, we got a production schedule here, and it's like, we got to make this, the goal is to launch this as a Kickstarter at Nerdtacular.
Okay.
So the goal is to have this, like, at the very least, in a proto, we've play tested it enough that we know that this is the thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I think the contender, we had basically the game with like 300 of the 500 card base deck.
Okay.
Like, at the point that we launched the Kickstarter.
Right.
But we knew that all we really had
But
to
the
do
game
was
was
just
there.
Game was there.
Yeah.
And then we had the 100 card mini deck that we were like sending to people.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like we got to get to at least that point, and this is a more complicated game than the contender was because we want to take a step forward in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, it's hard though, man. Like you get into these woods, and like it's really, really easy to get discouraged. It's really, really easy to just look around and be like, oh God, like this is. I don't know if this is good. Like, was that good, or am I laughing at all this stuff because I
Right.
want to make myself feel better? Also, it's like, because this is going to be a more rhetorically challenging game for than the contender. It's a similar mechanic. It's like, I don't know, and I won't know until I put it in the hands of people who I don't know and can give us their own opinion just by their own actions.
Right.
Like how much people want to just naturally put in some of the connectors, some of the verbal connectors into some of the cards.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, I can't be a judge of that because I literally, one of the professions that I have is what we're parodying
Right.
in this game. So it's like, I don't know whether or not I'm just naturally doing that because I have a background in it.
Uh-huh.
Or if it's just so natural, because I find it so natural, whether or not everybody will just do it. Because when you see...
Yeah. That's the kind of thing you can't play test with people either, because if they see you do it and it's better the way you do it, they're going to follow your lead.
Yes. So I have to have strangers do it.
Right.
But I don't know where on the line of like, okay, I have a natural inclination for this, and so that's why I'm doing it, / this is a, this is just one of those things. Like, remember that viral thing where it's like they only had, like, every word was like misspelled or incorrect or whatever, but they had like those like anchors. So like when you just read it, you could actually read
Oh, yeah.
everything
Yeah.
despite the fact that it was actually gibberish.
Right.
It's like I don't know whether or not it's just that where it's like, oh yeah, well, you want to put an is, you want to put a he, you want to put these like little tiny 2-letter things that just make this sentence flow together.
Right.
Or
Are
if
people
it's
going to read it super literally and then be frustrated that it doesn't make
then
enough
it's like
sense?
this is now I sound like Bizarro
Yeah.
from Superman, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
So what are your tricks? Like, how do you combat that? How do you keep motivated each day to work on those little
self
things?
delusion. Like absolute self delusion.
Like, what do you mean?
Like just understand that this is going to be a gigantic success and it's going to be more beloved than the contender and it's going to make more money than the contender and it's going to be a bigger success and this is basically the game that cements
So
John and I and
all you
Guts and
need,
Glory as game makers who make a game every year or so to critical acclaim.
so all you need to stay motivated is the concept that the finished product will be a success.
I think you need faith in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Faith is aided by the fact that we've done it once before.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps. Like the lessons that we've
Sure,
learned
but you didn't
are
have that
kind of
last time.
No. But that was total self-delusion.
Right. So my question stands. Like the only thing you need to stay motivated is the concept that the final product will be a success.
I think that's for me, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know for everybody else. I don't know where people draw from it. I don't know if there's more data analytics driven kind of people that need to see incremental stuff. But I know for me, I've worked in pretty much every industry that I've, except for one that I've worked in. Well, like restaurant, I guess, but like have been creative on some level wherein you needed to create something from scratch.
Yeah.
Where you are by and large left alone and then not only hope it's good, but then also defend elements of it, And so coming from that, I probably have that background, but it's like, it's a lot of solitary convincing yourself that you don't suck.
Yeah.
Or
totally agree with
identifying when you suck and just saying, yeah, bad day at the plate,
Yeah.
Babe Ruth went over 4 a lot.
Right.
Like there's just going to be days where you are objectively the worst person on your team, right?
Totally.
And life is measured by hits and not misses.
Yeah. I think for me with this book project, I've one of the struggles has been that like incremental progress for me is fairly easy in that like I don't have a problem with working every day, but that doesn't necessarily give me faith in a successful product. It just means that I can keep going, that I can keep taking a step over and over again. And then one of the things that scared me the most about putting out that first chapter, now that I think about it again, is the idea that I know, like I've written enough things and enough times that I know that most of the writing for me happens in the editing process, or rather like all the good stuff happens in the editing process. Like I might have some lines that I appreciate that make it through those cuts. But for the most part, it's not until like the third pass or so before I even like feel okay with what I'm writing about. So right now I'm at this stage where I'm just trying to get down like, well, my goal is about 100,000 words, and that's fairly arbitrary. It's just because that's about how many words A Walk in the Woods is.
Yeah.
And so I've set this goal very low of like 500 words a day, and then I treat it like golf. So like if I hit those 500 words, I'm at +1 for the next day. If I sat down and wrote 1,500 words, then I'm at +3 the next day. Or if I slacked off, I'm at -1. So I just keep track of like where I am in relation to par.
Yeah.
And so so that part is easy, but what that means is like if I write 500 words a day and I only write 500 words a day, then come July, what I have in my hands is the worst book I've ever written in my life. And then I have to start editing. And that's when like the actual work is in my mind. So like it's a long slog, like no matter what. And so that is the scariest thing. This slog where I have also, I feel, suddenly painted myself into a box where like I have to show people this slog, even though I guarantee myself I will not be proud of it until not only is this slog done, but the slog that I haven't even started yet, which is the editing process.
Yeah. But also, it's like, why do all that work if you're not going to release it to as
Yeah.
many people as possible, which means you got to put these Medium posts up, which means you got to build up this mailing list,
Right.
which means you got to do all these other things and now reconnect with so many people that I'm sure you were on the road with so you can talk to them and refill,
Yeah.
like get more details on some of these stories and everything. It's like you have to, part of the realities of being an independent producer is being your own hype machine.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the element of it, and it's hard. And that's
That's
the
a
thing.
tough
It's like
element, too.
we're gonna go. I'll be in PAX South / Royal Rumble weekend in San Antonio next weekend, and the goal is to bring a very, very, very probably even partial version of the game, a rough partial version of the game, just so I can play test mechanics.
Yeah.
And it's gonna suck.
Right.
Because there's going to be times where people are going to play it and they're going to be like, this isn't as fun as the contender. And the people that will probably play with it the most are people that are like watching here or are fans of other stuff that I do that are going to be like, we're going to have to suffer through this. And like, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're thinking about putting this out? Ooh.
Yeah. And that's hard.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I think that was a very fruitful episode of the show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. For whatever reason, I was going to make a joke at the end of this, a self-reflexive joke that we'd lost 5 followers since we started, but then it all of a sudden said that there was no viewers. Okay, yeah. So we lost 7 viewers. Cool. All right, here's the deal. Brett, where can people find you?
Just look for me on Twitter, Amtrekker, AMTREKKER.
Which you named after Joe Biden's favorite way to get to Delaware.
Right. Yeah. Except I also misspelled it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amtrekker with 2 Ks. My name is Justin Robert Young. You can follow me at Justin R. Young until next Friday. My name's Justin. He's Brett, and we work from home. Say goodbye, Scarlett. Bye-bye.
Nope. Bye-bye.
No, let's go ahead. Zoom in. Ready for your close-up. I know you were waiting for your close-up.
I just woke up. I'm not ready for this.
That's a sleepy baby.